All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to the Juice is Loose number 40. I'm your host, Terminator Juice, and this is going to be a little bit different of a podcast. It's going to be kind of a random discussion. I don't have anything really set in stone, and we're going to try to wrap this up in an hour and 15 minutes. So, anyone that has questions or anything, submit those. We'll get to those at the end. If we don't have questions, then we'll probably wrap this up in about an hour. So, I'm going to go ahead and have my guests introduce themselves. We have a first-timer on here, but we're going to start. We're going to go in alphabetical order. So hopefully you guys can figure that out. So take it away.
Yo, what's going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? I'm your boy, BearHugger29. I'm not going to cuss there. But yeah, thanks for having me on here. I've been playing a lot of, well, I haven't really been playing anything the last couple of days, but the last game I have played was Tipping Stars, which is a pretty cool game.
Cool. Yeah, and when you introduce yourself, just also, I forgot to say, just mention what you've been playing the last couple weeks, just to kind of give us an idea.
I remembered.
I know you did. I forgot, so.
I didn't.
Next up.
Cool. I'm Gordon, also known as Highland Gamer on YouTube. I've been playing a bit of the Bayonetta 2 after finishing Bayonetta 1, and I've been going back through Hyrule Warriors because there's just so much more to that game beyond the campaign, so I'm kind of grinding my way up through that as well.
Awesome. And good to have you on the Juice is Loose for the first time, so thanks for joining me.
It's all good.
And then last but not least.
What's up, everybody? It's Jay from the Game Cafe. I've been playing. What have I been playing? I've been playing Dragon Ball Xenoverse. I've been playing a little bit of the Hyrule Warriors, trying to go through those adventure maps, and I've been playing Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on 3DS. So yeah, my gaming days have been pretty packed.
Yeah, I had to slim down. I wasn't getting through games, so I just hunkered down. I've been playing Kirby nonstop. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. Finally, 100% of that last night. That was a hell of a task and very rewarding. It was challenging but rewarding. And then been playing Smash off and on, and some Mario Kart, the tournaments that I hold every Thursday. So, but yeah, when I'm finished with Kirby, I got to finish Fire Emblem Awakening, which I started months ago. I'm gonna finish that and start Codename Steam. So, yeah, I didn't really have a bunch of topics, but off air we kind of came up with some stuff. So I know Jay is a big fighting game fan, and since I have you on, and I know Bear Hugger, you're a fan, I believe, of Mortal Kombat.
Oh, you have no idea.
I want you to get your guys' take, and Gordon, if you have anything to add. First of all, what did you guys think? What have you think of what we've seen of the game so far? I haven't been following it so much. Is the gameplay living up to that initial reveal, that CG that they said was going to be gameplay, or the game was going to end up looking like that? And then also how you feel about the Jason Voorhees addition to the lineup. We'll start with you, Jay, and just kind of quickly what you think of the game up to this point, and maybe you guys can enlighten me on how it looks, because I actually haven't looked at a single bit of footage in over a year on the game. So.
Okay. Well, first, if you played Mortal Kombat 9, to me it looks pretty much like Mortal Kombat 9 with better X-ray. The graphics for the X-ray hits. They look better and sharper.
Mm-hmm.
But personally, the gameplay footage that I've seen looks a lot like Mortal Kombat 9. So if you're a fan of that style of gameplay, it shouldn't be a problem, because that's what it's going to look like. As far as the CG trailers and stuff they've shown so far, it looks pretty interesting. In all honesty, I don't understand why they're bringing back Johnny Cage and Sonya Blade. If you're saying this game takes place 25 years after 9, that would put them in their late 50s, early 60s. Kind of, depending on how old they were, because we don't really get a set age, but you get the feeling that they were in their late 20s during 9, so they'd be either in their 50s or whatever. So I'm I don't understand why they're doing that, but whatever. It's not my game. So, Jason, I'm not a real big fan of Jason being in the game. I mean, I know they did it with on 9 with the whole Freddy, but I think Freddy actually kind of worked better in the game. I don't think Jason's really, because Jason in his movies all he does is walk really slow and keep. I mean, unless somebody's gonna run to a car and they can't find their keys. I don't see, you know.
And he doesn't have any personality whatsoever. So
unless he's gonna be teleporting around people, I don't understand his game. I don't understand why, you know. But yeah, I mean, other than that, like I said, it looks interesting. Me personally, I haven't made a decision on that game yet, personally, but it looks like they did some interesting things. But it does to me look a lot like 9 in the way that it plays and in the way that it looks. Certain aspects of the game look to me like a lot of 9 is in it. So.
Okay. And Bear, before you give your thoughts, like again, all I've seen is that original CG trailer where people were saying that was the actual gameplay. I've seen videos of people saying, "Oh my God, it looks so good. How could anybody want to play a game like Smash Brothers or anything like Street Fighter when they seen those visuals and that?" Does it? Like I said, I haven't seen any actual gameplay. I'm going into this like as just completely blind. Does it even look close to what that initial trailer showed? Like,
no. Okay. Real quick. The whole little spiel that I did about a month ago with the whole entire Goro pre-order thing. I'm over that now. I don't care. It is what it is. If they want to do it that way, but they're not going to get a single cent from me because I won't be buying that character. However, though, as far as what the game looks like now, I watched the preview that they streamed the other day. It was like 30 minutes long. No, it was like a 3-hour event, but they showed off like the first 10 minutes of like the story and a couple battles and how it works. Very streamlined. It looks pretty cool. Not a fan of the QuickTime events during the cutscenes. To me, that's effing retarded, but whatever. But it looks good. It's using the same engine as Injustice. That's the same engine that they're using, which is technically Mortal Kombat 9, but it's just been slightly improved and upgraded a little bit. The whole Jason thing, when you mentioned about him teleporting around, I would not be surprised if they actually give him that and cliche to his character from the movies, because that's like old school hackers, you know what I mean, like those slasher kind of flick scenario cliche things. But am I pissed about it? No, because last gen we got with Mortal Kombat 9, we had Mortal Kombat. Everybody thought it was a rumor. Then all of a sudden, boom, he just popped up, and everybody just like, what? And then everybody loved him. So this character, on the other hand, though, I was kind of hoping that it was going to be Michael Myers. I think that would have been a better choice because at least he has a little bit more of a prerogative. But Jason, on the other hand, though, for a game that includes running, it's not going to make much sense with him. It really isn't. And I pray to God that they don't give him the frickin' Jason X Robotech bullshit outfit, man.
You want to see it.
Well, the reason why I'm saying that is because the game's called Mortal Kombat X.
Yeah, that's funny. That would almost be funny enough to be cool. But
that would
if you saw the last Friday the 13th, the remake, Jason actually ran around and he just charged people. Like, he did not walk slowly. He was a freaking force.
Yeah, actually, come to think of it, you're right. Yeah, I forgot about that because he did run around. Because after all, he was protecting his weed plants. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and I gotta say that movie has the best female breast scene ever in a movie.
I agree.
Wait. Say that again.
When there's a girl, a blonde, I believe, and the dude, they're like having sex, of course, because when you have sex in a horror movie, that means they're gonna get killed. Basically. And the dude's just like the whole time just saying, "You have just the most amazing breasts." It's just like he's just the whole time he's saying it. It's just funny, and he's right. They're just incredible. So.
Okay. Well, don't mind me while I'm off screen here for a second.
You gotta look that clip up. It's incredible.
I'm looking at the clip. I'm looking at freaking photos.
You got to see him in motion. You got to. So anyway.
I got to see him in motion. You say?
You do. You have to see that scene. If you've never seen it, it's worth watching the movie for. But
worth watching. I know I've seen the movie, but I just haven't seen it in a very long time because that movie really makes me cringe.
Anyway, Gordon, do you have any thoughts on Mortal Kombat X? Are you a fighting fan or Mortal Kombat fan at all?
I played Mortal Kombat. Going back, I played Mortal Kombat early on, early Nintendos and some on PC and things. To be honest, I'm not the kind of person that would buy every single sort of generation because it kind of seems like a bit of a rehash. I mean, I'd be happy for, as long as it plays well and you get the sort of key fatalities and the kind of, the signature Mortal Kombat, shout outs and all the kind of effects like that, because I'm a big fan of kind of old school arena games where you get the big shout outs like Rampage and all this kind of stuff going on, so the kind of cheesy elements. And I loved that about Mortal Kombat, the fact that although it was this big gruesome thing, it kind of had a funny side. As far as adding in extra characters, I mean, across the board, I think it's a little bit played out. A lot of games used to do it to each console. You get Darth Vader in this, and you get Yoda in that, and I kind of feel that they should stick to their core, lineup. If they want to add new characters, create new Mortal Kombat characters, not characters from something else. And include it. I'm reading here that it says it's part of a day one sort of DLC pack that costs you $30, or it's included in the special editions, which can go up to $150. That just seems as a cash in to me.
Yeah, it is. Just listening to Bear's rant, it sounds like the best thing to do with this Mortal Kombat is wait for the Game of the Year edition or whatever, because it sounds like they're kind of nickel and diming people with some of these characters.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at DC as a whole, typically about 6 months down the line, they release something that gives it all out. I mean, they literally announced, was it today or yesterday, that they're giving the whole lot out to new players on, is it Titanfall?
Oh yeah.
Ooh. I do have two things I want to add, but I'll wait till I'm done.
So, I feel that with a lot of these things, especially if you're looking at Capcom as a whole, you're better waiting till the Ultimate Edition comes out and you get everything.
All right, Bear, what do you got?
All right, so two things. One, I forgot to mention that the PS3 and 360 one has been delayed till summer, which I'm a little bit bummed by because I'm getting my PS3 next week in the mail. So I'm a little bit annoyed by that, even though a lot of people are speculating, saying, "Oh, they're doing a stealth cancellation."
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing that, because if they were going to do something like that, they would have took the games or those two platforms off the standard edition off their website. But I think they're doing it because the DLC characters are not ready yet for the last gen version of the actual game, because it is being made by a second individual party within the same company. So I think it's not ready yet. So that's why they're delaying it. And also on top of that, yeah, her tits are freaking gorgeous.
Yes. I just love how the dude's so confident that he's just talking about him the whole time. He's just cracks me up. He's just like, you would win a contest, like best tits contest, like the whole.
Man, so you just took up that bra, and I was like, shit.
But let me. Do you think maybe they delayed the other versions to see how the PS4, Xbox One versions will
That's
sell?
what I think, yeah, because honestly, the install bases,
help them sell, and then if they sell well enough, they probably just.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going to do, even though I think that they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot by that. But I can understand that could be a possibility, yeah. But there's too many people that haven't made that jump yet, and they still own a 360 and PS3. And like myself, for example, because I don't have the money for it right now, and I just barely got by getting a PS3 again. But at the same time, it's like I'm looking at it, and I was just like, you guys are freaking idiots. I mean, I don't know why they're doing it, but it kind of irritates me, because what I've seen, I really want to play it. Yeah, it's BS bull.
Yeah, it's like they never did that for the Wii U version to let that get sales, like have that one come out first and have the last gen ones. It's just funny how.
Of course not, because everybody shits on Nintendo anyways, doesn't it?
Yeah, but anyway.
Excuse my language, by the way.
That's all right. I'm looking at the game right now. It doesn't look like I'd be surprised. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if someone said this was the 360 version. Like it doesn't look. Other than some higher resolution, it doesn't look that amazing. So just another one of those games where they revealed it and they deceived everybody by showing CG and stuff. And I kind of had that feeling. That's why I kind of wrote that game off immediately. That practice just gets old. It's gotten old with me, and I don't tolerate just showing me CG as the game. So anyway, let's move on. I just wanted to share a quick story on Friday. this last Friday. I had 6 people over, and we played some 7-player local multiplayer in Smash Brothers. And I got the GameCube controller adapter. I had 3 GameCube controllers, the gamepad, Pro controller, or 2 Pro controllers, and what was the other? Or we had a 4th GameCube controller my friend brought over. So I just wanted to share. Like, people say all the time when Nintendo's games don't have the best online, like, hey, I can't get together with my friends anymore, and local multiplayer is dead because we live in different cities, and you can't get together anymore. I don't have this huge base of friends, and if I can get 6 people over, I just find that hard to believe that some of these people can't get anyone over their house. And if you can't, you can't, and that sucks. But I do want to say that the 7-player Smash was phenomenal. It was chaotic. It was fun. Everyone was just laughing, and it was nuts. And I just wanted to point out that that was definitely worth putting in the game for anyone that gets a chance to play that. It was good fun, man. I mean, it's chaotic. We had the items on low with half of them turned off, and it was just, I mean, it was fun as hell. So I just wanted to share that story. And my buddy Steel Fox was there. And it's funny because you can be a really good Smash player one-on-one, but when you got 7 characters on screen, all that goes out the window. It's just like, I mean, all of a sudden you're not paying attention and someone drops down with like a Bowser's, his down B or whatever it is, where he comes slamming down on you. And it's just, we were laughing hysterically, and it was an epic night. So that was awesome. And it was worth buying the GameCube controller adapter, since I don't like using the GameCube controller. It was worth it just for that experience, and it was a blast. So.
Well, that's good news then, I guess. I mean,
yeah, I mean,
this is where it's at, man. 8-player Smash. Once you had a taste of it, man, you can't stop.
I don't know. I thought it was a dumb addition that I'd never ever utilize. It's just like,
come on now.
You tried it.
And now I'm like, I did 5-player before, but 7. I want to get 8. I'm gonna try to get 8 next time. I only gave people a couple days notice, and we had a blast. Almost everybody was fan of the GameCube one. Most people didn't play Brawl, and the one guy, he'd never even seen Smash 4 before at all, and he loved it, absolutely loved it. He loved the Mii characters, he loved the new characters, and he was dying at Shulk's little boxer brief outfit. He just thought that was hilarious, and he kept winning with Shulk, and it's like, I never play as Shulk, and I never use that costume, so it's just
Shulk over P.
It's like he frickin' just throws his junk out there, like the way he's standing. It's just so funny, man. We had a blast, so that was awesome. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Sitting there in his little rocket pants with his bulge hanging out.
Yeah,
no, wait, so that's Captain Falcon. Never mind.
Yeah, Captain Falcon's is ridiculous too, but I just real want to reiterate. I said this. I don't remember what I said this on. Like, I'm not a fan of the GameCube controller. I've just realized after not using it for 10 years. So I guess if you guys want to share your thoughts on the GameCube controller, has anyone played it with the new Smash? Do you guys still like it, or have you moved on? Because I don't like the button layout, and I don't like the placement of the C stick. So anybody want to challenge that, or anybody here love the GameCube controller?
Actually, I'm a fan of the GameCube controller. I don't like the Pro controller. Because the reason why I don't like the Pro controller, I don't like the way where the stick is, the second stick.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like where it is. So I actually prefer it down where it is on the GameCube controller. I guess because I got used to it on the GameCube, so I am really used to that button layout. So it kind of throws me off when I'm playing with a Pro controller or when I'm playing with the gamepad, but I usually just play with either the Classic Controller Pro or the GameCube controller, and my Classic Controller Pro actually looks like a GameCube controller. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's what you're used
laughing,
to.
Man, I swear.
It's what you're used to, but my point, like, I didn't want to. I was like, oh, I could spend time and get used to this GameCube controller, but I play off TV a lot during, when football season's on and stuff, like even baseball playoffs or something. I like to have something on in the background, but I still want to play a game, and So I hate to get used to the GameCube controller and then kind of ruin my off TV play experience.
You know, you just gave me an amazing thing in my head that just made my head go poof.
But
You know how like Microsoft has that ability to be able to have multiple applications running in the background on the
yeah,
system, and I think Sony has that as well. I could be wrong. That's the Wii U is the exact same thing, except you just gotta flip a channel. That's all
yeah,
you gotta do.
all that Xbox has
What the
that
F?
split screen, minimizes the game or the TV, and shares the same screen.
No,
And people are like loving that, and it's like the Wii U
yeah.
does that. Like,
I could sit here and play Tipping Stars while I'm looking at porn. I mean, on my internet.
Except you can also split the audio, whereas like
Mhm.
if you're playing with the Xbox and say you've got a TV channel on and you've got your game on at the same time, it's playing the same audio for both of them out your TV. Whereas if you have something on the gamepad, you can sit and watch YouTube on your gamepad, and someone else can be watching something on the TV. You put headphones in, and you're not sort of mixing that audio.
Exactly. So that's the answer right there. But it doesn't count because it's not fluid like the Xbox.
I mean, on the controller thing, I don't know. I think I have mixed opinions with the different controllers with the sort of the Wii U setup. I'm kind of used to the Xbox shaped controller, so I lean towards the Pro controller when I'm playing sort of faster paced games, just because that shape feels right in my hands. Again, that's probably why I'm kind of pushed away a little bit from the GameCube controller, because coming from the N64 to I had PS2 after that, it felt personally like they'd taken a PS2 controller and tried to cram all the N64 buttons into that space.
Mhm.
I mean, I get that they made some of the buttons bigger and they had the sort of what do you call it, analog sort of shoulder buttons and things, which added other things. But I don't know. I mean, for me, it felt sort of clunky. I'd rather have the Pro controller with the sort of Xbox style triggers, if that was possible, than have the sort of GameCube controller. Just personally.
Yeah, analog triggers would have been a nice addition to a revised Pro controller instead of, they had to do the GameCube controller adapter, I think, for the success of the game, for all the diehard fanboys that still play Melee. I think they had to do the adapter.
Losers.
I can't blame them. If that's what you're used to, if you've been playing Smash for, 12 years on that controller,
yeah,
I guess I can't blame Nintendo. I got an aftermarket one and it works perfect. I paid $26, so I think the solution is here. It's just Nintendo didn't provide it for anyone that's still looking for one of those. They had imports on Amazon for $35 shipped.
And they always put them on their website all the time. They just sell out really quickly. That's all.
Yeah, and it's like, I still don't understand. It seems like such a simple piece of plastic. I just can't understand Nintendo didn't be able to manufacture another million and have those in stores. But anyway, that's a whole separate topic.
Just still off of that as well, just a little thing. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but when I'm playing with the gamepad versus the Pro controller, I find that if I'm playing faster paced things, not because of the size of the controller, but the analog stick distance from my hand, if I'm playing quite intense games and your sort of thumb starts sweating up, I find that my thumbs slide off the triggers, off the analog sticks. Whereas with the Pro controller, the positioning's closer, so you have a bit more grip on what you're doing. I don't know if that's any sort of deliberate reason or anything else, but I do find that, say I'm playing Bayonetta, I tend to go to the Pro controller, whereas if I'm playing something a bit more maybe slow and stealthy like Batman or something, I don't mind using that on the gamepad.
I don't have an issue with the actual gamepad. That's my preferred controller method. I mean, I have the Wiimote nunchuck along with that little Hori wannabe GameCube wannabe controller. I used that for a little while. I did whatever.
Doesn't that plug into the Wii remote like a
Yeah, it does.
Like the classic controller?
Yeah, that's exactly how it does. But no, I just prefer using the gamepad. Honestly, I'm more comfortable with that. I think it's because my hands are fat, so I got big fingers, so it's a lot more easier for me, and I feel a lot more comfortable with that. Whereas if I'm using the GameCube controller, it feels like I'm holding.
It feels small.
Yeah, it feels like I'm holding. I think it's because I haven't played anything like that in a while since I got rid of my PS3 and I got the Wii. I'm growing accustomed to that now. That could very well be the possibility. I don't know. But I normally get it used to, more controllers pretty damn quickly than the average person does. I don't know if that's true. I'm not trying to be, I'm better than you. No, I'm just saying I just have accustomed to controllers a lot more quickly than most people do. So I mean, I'm sure if I kept that and kept on playing it for a little while. I mean, I barely even touched that controller. I use the gamepad for Smash, and that's what I'm used to. Perhaps maybe that could very well be the reason why I keep freaking suiciding off the edge. I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. I don't take Smash serious enough to give a crap. I play casually. I don't play at a core level. I don't care how deep the game is. I like it for what it is, and I like it for a party fighter. So that's the way I enjoy
that's
it.
what I said. Like that's why I enjoyed having the 7-player. But it always came down to 2 people at the end. I mean, with stocks on, and that makes it fun to watch and to be part of. I mean, it adds a little extra at the end of a match to get. When you got everybody in the room. Trust me, the pressure amps up a little bit when you got everybody watching you down with the final 2. You got 5 other people watching, waiting to see who's going to win. I mean, it does add to it, and it's nice. It's nice to get the win, but I gotta say, I accidentally didn't recover. I forget what I did, which character, and it ended a great battle with a stupid mistake, and that felt like humiliating. Can't say that fucking word. Humiliating. And then when the same 2 were down, me and another guy were down the last 2 again, and then he messed up. He hit a button, and when he was supposed to grab the ledge, he just tapped the button by mistake, so it didn't grab the ledge, and he died that way, and it just kind of ruined my victory, But anyway, let's get on to the final thing we were going to talk about. I had a whole podcast based on reviews and maybe a better way to do reviews and what they mean and how people take reviews. But Bear Hugger, I gotta say, I don't go to Polygon, so I guess
Neither do I. One of my subs actually gave me the link. Yeah,
okay.
Somebody gave me the link to this.
And I know Francis posted a question. I know he's a big Polygon fan, so he'll probably like hearing about this. And I'm just kidding. He hates Polygon.
I think it just puked in my mouth a little bit. I'm sorry, but
everybody knows Polygon's become a joke, and it sucks because they have given a few games some pretty good reviews that I agreed with, like Mario Kart 8. I think was one of their game of the year contender, if not the winner. I can't remember.
I mean, I kind of used to feel that the difference between The Verge and Polygon was that Polygon had a bit of integrity, but it seems to have gone down the hill.
Yeah, I haven't been following them that long. The first time I really became aware of them was their Mario Kart 8 sales prediction.
All right, okay. Because I mean,
let's get on to the point here, and then we'll talk about it after. Bear, why don't you read what we're talking about, the game we're talking about in the review that's got a couple people.
Well, all right, so I'm just going to read the little wrap-up, or as what I like to call the F-up. Basically, it says here,
And what game is it?
Sorry about that. Yes, of course. Stupid of me. Codename Steam, which came out there like 3-4 days ago, give or take. And Polygon, those dumb shits. Excuse my language again. But I'm really, really heated about this because this is a prime example why I do not give 2 Fs about reviews. But this is what he said for the wrap-up. So there's my dark secret. I didn't finish Codename Steam. Sneer all you want, but the credit scroll would literally have to include a treasure map 2, a working jetpack before I consider finishing this brutality, misguided, horrifically dull debacle. F you. Dude, I'm sorry, but when I read stuff like that, it really gets under my skin because A, you're deliberately nagging on a game that you didn't even complete, number 1, and if you didn't care for the game, then let somebody else frickin' play it then. Jesus Christ. Clearly this guy's never played a frickin' strategy game before in his life. Clearly.
Yeah, didn't he go on to say that it took him like 4 hours out of his 26 hours in the game was on one boss that he just couldn't get by. He thought it was like the end of the game and it wasn't, or something like that. And it's like, I know that some of the battles take a little bit of time in Codename Steam, but 4 hours, I don't know if he just kept dying or whatever. I mean, it's definitely a tough game by the demo. I mean, I've died a few times in the demo levels, but the point is that he gave it a 3.5 out of 10. And we were talking about this off air. Like at that low of a score, you got to be thinking a broken game. You can't be a game that works and you just don't like it. I just don't think it just doesn't seem right. Like you said, give it to somebody else. Say, hey, I can't review this game. I don't like this type of game, and give it to somebody else. So I'm gonna go to Gordon since you were talking about Polygon. Are they from the UK or not? Are they out of the?
I think they're still the same basis as the Verge, so I'm not 100% where their main base is. I think it's still American based, but
Okay.
they're sort of a partner of the Verge. I used to follow the Verge for a lot of tech things. This is going back a couple of years when they would literally review almost anything, and kind of like Forbes does now, they would let third party people come on and do reviews, and do podcasts and all these sorts of things, and you might have one person that was a huge Android fan or an Apple fan, or whatever the case may be, but they would always kind of debate it back and forth. And then there was a point where their fanboyism kind of took over, and you noticed that when Polygon were doing things, the main guy, I forget his name, that done it was like, if you were to describe what would be a sort of hardcore, intense gaming person that has everything in their house, and whenever they're doing podcasts, they've got all these gaming consoles behind them, and they can never find enough hours in the day to play games. This was the kind of guy that you were seeing on Polygon, and this is why I kind of got the original opinion of them that these were not just people picking up something because it was some slapped on brand. They were genuinely playing things through because they enjoyed games, and if they found an issue with it, so be it. They found an issue with it. It kind of seems really disappointing that it's coming right down to personal opinion now. I mean, I was speaking to some of the guys with Gaming Fanatics recently, and the guys from that website and things, and they were saying that they'd always sort of finish something before sort of reviewing it or before sort of saying anything, but sometimes certain games, if you're just a general person that's doing a personal website like Francis with sort of Player Essence, you might not get to that point. But if you do, you should just say, look, the game wasn't for me. I got to X point, it played through fine, but this is my first impressions. This is all I can kind of give you. To give what seems like a complete review based on opinion, it doesn't seem right. And if you're paid to be a reviewer, should you not grind that game to the end just so that you can give us a whole rounded review?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I should have read the review top to bottom just to see if he made any points about the actual mechanics, if the game worked and stuff. But I hate to give them clicks, so I didn't want to go to their site and all that. But just for the sake of this podcast, I did check, and they gave The Crew a 4.5, a game that was pretty much had a lot of bugs and was glitchy, and basically everyone agreed that the game wasn't really polished at all. And then they give like Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask a 9, Monster Hunter 8, Evolve a 8. So I mean they tend to score pretty high from what I'm seeing. And then just to give a game like Codename Steam a 3.5, like you said, it has to be all opinion because no one else is saying the game's broken. All the other reviews are around a 7. So it does seem to think that this person had an agenda or something against this game, beyond just actually reviewing it for what a game should be, about the gameplay, the controls, and all that. So, Jay, you've been kind of silent. What do you think about? Obviously, it's a person's opinion to a point when the final score comes out, but a 3.5 in your mind, what kind of game would you give a 3.5? Like, what would it have to do wrong to get such a low score for you?
It would have to have something wrong with the gameplay. It would have to be broken in some way. I don't really like point-based review systems because I believe that once you get to point-based reviews, it can go anywhere. But generally speaking, the consensus with most point-based reviews is anything below a 5 is a game that's not polished, not working. at levels. It may have a game breaking glitch or something like that, and that's why it goes like below the 5. So to give it a 3.5 just because you don't like it, that's kind of stupid. I mean, I don't know, like, because everybody knows that some people have their own specific genres that they like, and strategy RPGs are ones that are RPGs that you're gonna have to grind through. I mean, Fire Emblem, I love Fire Emblem to death, but you know some of those games are grind games, and Codename Steam is made by the guys who made Fire Emblem.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not saying the game is bad, but I mean, if you have to grind through it and you don't like to grind, then why are you reviewing this game? I mean, we talk about that all the time with like certain sites where they have like reviewers that don't really say the mechanics of the game. They just keep talking about stuff that's their own personal opinion. They don't say like if the game was broken or this or that. They keep talking about what they don't like, but it's not like it's like opinionated stuff they don't like. It's not like stuff that actually affected their gameplay experience. So yeah, if you have something like that low, it should have like, to me, it should have a game-breaking glitch. It should have the controls not actually work, you know, frame rate problems or issues or stuff like that. And I just don't see that happening with this game personally.
Yeah, I mean, I played the demo and it worked. I know that's just a demo, but it's Intelligent Systems, it's Nintendo, so I guarantee the game works. So if it just comes down to he doesn't like the mechanics or the style of the game, at that point, you think the rest of the Polygon would have to say, okay, you're giving us a 3.5. You have to have some obvious example to give it a score that low. Like, it seems like they would have to back that up before they put that out, because it is. And maybe Polygon's hurting for ad revenue and clicks. I mean, maybe that has something to do with it. But just to get on, away from Polygon and go to GameSpot. If you look at their last like 3 or 4 Nintendo reviews, they've been 5s and 4s. One of them being Kirby and the Rainbow Curse, which I thought was an amazing game. One of my top 10 games on the Wii U for sure. And I know that's kind of an opinion, but the game works fine. The mechanics, everything works. It's polished, and they gave it a 5. They gave DK versus Mario, Tipping Stars or whatever, a 5. Didn't consider that it, a budget title, $20 and all that. What was the other game they gave? They gave Codename Steam a 4. So at some point, when you see,
gave it a 4. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw it? Did they give it a 4?
They gave it a 4. So when you see like game trailers downsizing and you see Rev 3 Games going out of business, shutting down, how much of this, and even with the Order 1886, people were mad because that got a 5.5 and said that you can't give a game that isn't broken a score that low. So it's not just us Nintendo fans complaining about this kind of stuff. When does it look? I mean, when is it, or how do you know if it's a genuine review or if it's a clickbait review? I mean, it's just at this point, it's getting so out of hand. Metacritic. I just want to say real quick. I'll finish up, then you can cut in. Metacritic's really, because of the average, like that's a better indication than going to one website and reading their review, because at least with an average you have an idea. Say, hey, this game's getting an average 80. This review gave it a 4. The average is 8, so there's majority of the people like the game, and that gives you a better indication. Okay, should I look into this game further? Should I rent it or should I buy it? I'm not saying go off review scores, but it definitely is a good guideline about a game you're on the fence about. So anyway, go ahead, Gordon.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think it could come partly down to people expecting things to fit into boxes. Like, for instance, if people are so used to getting, Call of Duty and then Battlefield and then other games that are the same, and they all play the same, they all have the same button controls, they all work exactly the same. As soon as a new IP comes out that's in that sort of genre that controls slightly different and isn't under one of those brands, I feel like it gets shot down. I mean, another one that I saw recently was the Ironfall reviews. And if you look on Metacritic right now, it says that the Metacritic score is 48, and the user score is, well, I don't know why they've got 100 for the things and 10 for the users, but it would be 64 if it was the users. And then you look at another review for videogamer.com, they've given it 3 out of 10. And most of the comments come out and say, you know, it's a Gears of War clone. The hardware is not good enough for it. It doesn't show off X, Y, and Z. And I'm kind of sitting there going, well, it's the first sort of proper FPS game using the new sort of hardware and controls on the 3DS. For me, I enjoyed the hell out of the demo and plan on buying the full game. If you expect it to play like a full console Gears of War, like, are you going in with the wrong expectations?
Yeah, and they probably didn't even consider 2 people made it. Like, it was made by 2 whole people. Like, it was an indie title, and
it's a feat of engineering for 2 people. You know,
exactly. And you can't give a full game a good review just because of it only took like 2 people were it only had 2 people making it. You can't like give it a pass exactly. But you do have to adjust your review based upon that, just like reviewing a budget title. Like I reviewed Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. I took the amount of content into consideration that it's a $40 game compared to if it was a full $60 game. I think I would have scored the content a lot lower. So they got to say, hey, this is an indie title. This was made by a small team, and review it on those merits. Maybe that's wrong. Maybe they have to just review it as a full game since it was released as a game you have to purchase. I don't know.
I think it needs to be looked at the budget that's put into it. It needs to be looked at the price that you're paying for it, and probably the console that is going on. If, for instance, I'm talking about Ironfall in this situation, the 3DS, as far as I know, hasn't had any FPS games, so it's a genre that is, for the first time being explored. It's about half the price of the average game we buy on there, and made by a really sort of small team. So when you take all of that into account, I'd be looking at it like I looked at the first Conduit game. It's a great start. There's room for improvement. It's not a terrible game, and this is the issue that I have with a lot of things. I mean, Wonderful 101 got similar reviews when it first came out as well, and it just seems like people don't want to try something new, don't want to put the effort in to see how it plays in a different system. I don't want to go way off on tangents, but I had a similar thought when it came to a lot of the different games that came out on Wii. People looked at the Wii and went, oh, there's these party games, there's this. But then the core games that I played on my Wii were things like Red Steel, Conduit, Manhunt, and they all got ignored because it was the Wii. And they got terrible reviews because it was the Wii. And they were actually pretty good games.
Yeah, because they couldn't play with their Xbox 360 controller. I think a lot of people didn't give games like Red Steel 2 a chance, and I watched a playthrough of him playing that. That game looked fantastic. Like,
love that game.
People need to really, really go in sort of open eye to these things. I mean, I done a review going back a year or so now on Jay's community, the Wii U community, on Google+. It was on The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I said similar things. I went in there and I made sort of some comparisons to Batman and things, but when you look at Beanox as a sort of smaller studio, they generally do ports and whatever else. What they pulled off with that game compared to other Spider-Man games is awesome. It's not as polished as an Arkham game, but does that make it a bad game?
No. I mean, you can't judge every game equally. Like you said, there's different budgets, there's different parameters, but they just kind of review it as a flat, this is how you review a game. If they don't seem to take anything into consideration. And I'm going to go to Bear Hugger. I kind of mentioned the whole clickbait thing. Do you feel like maybe that's happening more now than it ever has with some review sites with a little bit of?
Yeah, it is.
Like the prime's passed for those sites making tons of money. Like IGN, they spent like $1 million on an April Fool's Zelda spoof trailer. Those days are gone because they're not making the money they were. So I mean,
It's because a lot of people are starting to use their outsources, man. Like there's a lot of people now are relying on YouTubers now to give them that direct connection to a game that they want to see or be played, right? So a lot of these journalist sites now are getting fed up with it, so now they have no choice but to revert to using a lot of articles as what you said, clickbait. And if that be the case, I'm gonna wipe my ass with that shit. I'm done with that stuff.
And we're only making it worse by talking about it, because then people are going to go click on it, and it's like... But
Yep. Yeah, click on this, you're clickbaiting.
I'm sorry, like, from what I played with Codename, and I have the game, I haven't started it yet. Like we said, it'd have to be really broken to do that
Get that
low.
kind of a score.
And
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
all the Sony guys that were crying about the Order getting a 5 or a 6, saying that, you know, you can't give a game that low of score that doesn't have bugs and game-breaking glitches, and
I
that,
can see where they're coming from now.
and it's like, that was a 5 or a 6. Now we're talking 3.5, 4s, and it's like, okay, are they gonna sit there and say, call bullshit again, or are they're gonna laugh because it's happening to Nintendo now and not Sony? So that's gonna be the interesting part, because I mean, I do agree. If the Order is a working pot, like no bugs and stuff, I wouldn't want to see it get below a 4. But for the people that gave it a 5 or a 6, saying basically it's not a game, the gameplay's so minimalistic, and you know, a lot of quick time events. I mean, I could see if they gave like Steam a 5 or 5.5, but just that 3.5 just really stands out to me as there's some sort of agenda. But I think I don't want to give Polygon too much time, but yeah,
I just want to put one last point on that. I do wonder if it would work to the game's advantage in the long run. That if this game came out and it's an indie game and it came out and it got a 7, and it kind of went under the radar, whoever was going to buy it bought it, and that's it. I do wonder if, because they've kind of annoyed the core RPG or core Nintendo fan base that do enjoy it, will that then push them to go to YouTube and make a review they wouldn't normally do? And in this game, maybe Polygon, you know, you don't want Polygon's hits, you know, screw Polygon. But the game itself, will it get more press? Will it get more YouTubers and people like us talking about it, and therefore get out to more people that it maybe wouldn't have because of this?
Yeah, the old, you know, bad press is good, any press is good press adage.
You know, because it keeps things going, whereas it might have just died off.
That's true. If they just gave it a 5 or a 6, then people wouldn't be talking about it, which is the whole basis of a clickbait. But I'm definitely going to do a review on it, just, you know, and I'm going to give it a fair chance, and but I'm not gonna give it a high score just because Polygon gave it a low score. If I get through this game and feel it's a 5, or, you know, I don't do numbers, I do letters, kind of like grading, like a school paper. But you know, I'll be honest, and it's not really my cup of tea, but I enjoyed the demo, so I just find it hard to believe it would be bad enough.
I
To
smell
score
an
that.
F coming from you.
Yeah. I think the answer, and I said this in my podcast about reviews, is don't have one person review a game. You know, they're hurting for revenue and stuff, and they have maybe a limited employees or whatever to review, but still, you got to have some kind of what do they call that? Quality control or something, because you're putting your name out there. GameSpot is putting their names on the review. Whoever does the review, it's still GameSpot is listed.
Yeah.
And if you're giving Donkey Kong, this one person gives Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze a 6, but the rest of the staff has it at 8, 9s, and 10s, there's something wrong. Why would you put the worst review out of the group, out of the people that played it, as the one that represents your company?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's why I don't think numbers work. For me personally, I've kind of thought about it a lot, and I find reviews quite a difficult thing to do, which is why I only just sort of done my Bayonetta one. But I try to probably look at it as who would want to play this, rather than is this a perfect or rubbish game? Because what might be the best game to, say, me might be an okay game to you, and maybe an absolutely rubbish game to Jay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I try to sort of write some things up by saying, well, maybe I enjoy this element, but I see that these elements here might apply to this group, or something like that, rather than giving it a score. That's just my personal way
Yeah,
of
that's. I actually did both. I gave it a score, and I said on my Kirby review, and with Captain Toad, I was just like, for me, I found a lot of content in Kirby because I loved the exploration. I love finding the challenge of finding all the treasure chests and getting the enough stars at the end to get a gold medal and completing the challenge modes. For me, there's plenty of content, but I said in my review, if you just want to start the level or stage and get to the end and move on, there's technically only 21 stages and 7 boss stages. So for some people, that will be very little content if you don't care about finding all the treasure chests and stuff and going through the challenge mode. So I did point that out, and I think maybe that should happen a little bit more. Say, hey, listen, this is why I didn't like the game, but if you like these types of games, you might enjoy it because A, it's not broken, the mechanics work, and maybe go through it like that. And like I've always said, the score and reviews, that doesn't make me buy or not buy a game. But if I'm on the fence, it's a good guideline to say, okay, this is what people think. This is what the average of opinion is on the game, and then go from there. So it's not like everybody bear hugger. You can say you can't go out and buy every new game that comes out. So you have to be a little more critical. So I could see how maybe reviews don't sway you at all, but maybe they do. I don't know. Maybe
They
don't.
don't.
So how do you what
I
makes
go
you
by gut feeling, man. I go look. If I buy a game, I buy it by gut feeling. If I buy a game that's trash or I buy a game that's good, I'll still play it. I don't care. I'll either find something in a game that like a mechanic or something that I'll have fun with, or it'll just be a game like Bayonetta, for example, that just blew my effing mind and made me have wood the entire time I was playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I know that a lot of people will sit there and say, well, that's very dangerous given in this time and age because of our the way money is and the way game prices are, specifically in Canada now, going up to $80, mind you. Yeah, it's kind of risky, but the trade-off for me is that if I invest money in a game, no matter what game it is, because like I said, you can't even go by what somebody else technically says to a degree because your opinion is always going to be different from theirs. It's kind of like when you watch somebody do a playthrough of something. I get annoyed when I see people play games in a certain way. Like if I see them playing like an adventure game or something like that, I get annoyed when they miss stuff. That irritates me. I don't know why it does. It just
Yeah,
does.
when they don't collect the stars in 3D World,
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
pass
Or when
it
I'm
by.
sitting there, I seen somebody try to play Push Mode Live on a live stream, right? And he was sitting there. He couldn't even get past the 4th tutorial puzzle, and I lost. I freaked out. I was like, I'm done. I'm not watching this anymore. I can't deal with this. So stuff like that. It's the same kind of mentality that I have for when it comes to reviews. I'll like sometimes I'll skim through one just to see what people have to say about it, look for like little bugs and glitches here or there, but I never go based on what the number says. Never do that because I've had amazing experiences from games that IGN or GameSpot will give like a 6.5 or a 4.6 or something like that, like a Puna or Dynasty Warriors. And then I end up turning out and I buy those games and they become like one of the best games I've ever played in my life. So
Yeah, I would
that's
say
why I don't go by reviews.
one review, but when you see like 80 people average the games at a 4 or something, I think you gotta pay a little bit of attention to that and say, hey, okay, read why it's getting such low scores, and if it sounds like something that wouldn't bother you, obviously. But like
Nah.
Sonic Boom, I was excited for that game, and then people like unanimously were like, this game's broken, it just doesn't work right, it's glitchy.
Demo was what turned me off from it, but now that they updated it now and like all the bugs and glitches have been pretty much basically ironed out, I'm just waiting for a price drop for that. Once it hits a $20 bargain bin, then yeah, I might consider buying it.
Yeah, see, for me with Sonic Boom, I thought that there was some issues with it. A lot of people jumped on that bandwagon to say it was terrible. That I don't believe even played it. And Sonic fans are notoriously picky, so as soon as they saw it wasn't a fast-paced game, they trashed it. I played the demo. There is a little bit of hand-holding. There's a little bit of monotonous sort of size to the sort of combat. But, I mean, if you compare that to, take Sonic out of the equation, and you compare that to any other sort of platformer type game like that, your sort of Banjo games and your Spyro games and your Skylanders and all these type things, is it really all that different? Is its mechanics that much worse than Disney Infinity? I don't really think so.
No,
Yeah,
it's Sonic, right? It's an iconic character. You
but
know what I mean? That's
here's
the
an
reason why the game
interesting
is so much
thing.
flagged on.
I'm looking at the Metacritic. Only 28 critics reviewed it, and like 80 people reviewed the order. So it tells you that not very many people actually reviewed it, which is kind of
And another thing is too as well that I've seen a couple other journalists do too as well is that they'll go off and they'll update their reviews after an initial update for a game. So why can't they do the same thing here for this game? It came out with a humongous update, which I thought was not going to happen because when the company basically went down the crapper after that game came out, I thought, okay, well, there's no way in this game was ever to get fixed, and they did, and they released like a gig and a half update for it or something like that. So journalists, me personally, if I reviewed a game, even though I would never slap a number or a grade or any of that crap, I wouldn't give it like 4 cheeseburgers out of 5. I wouldn't do something like that. But I would sit there, I would actually update my review accordingly, but I would I would have like a little section at the end of my review saying that, you know what I mean, like post 1.1 or 1.02 or something like that, you know what I mean?
just
So that
enough.
when somebody reads my just basically kind of add to my review and say, okay, this is what all this stuff has been fixed, blah blah blah. Is it still worth your investment? Yeah, it's playable now, but I would still wait for it to drop in the bargain bin. You know what I mean? Like it's not hard to do something like that.
Kind of like the whole Assassin's Creed patches with their faces and issues and stuff. It's only fair.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Assassin's Creed Unity had more or just as many bugs. I don't know if I'm sure, but it sounds like from what people are saying,
Well,
and that got a way higher average.
Yeah, it had a way higher average score, but I mean, like at least with Sonic Boom, you didn't have like freaking people walking around faceless. Say that.
So
yeah,
right.
I mean, as I say, I don't want to go into Sonic too much, but it does feel that the biggest element in that game was that it was Sonic, and people wanted Sonic to be fast, rather than the fact, as we've mentioned with these other things, that the game was broken. There was a few glitches here and there, which they patched. There was a little things that were maybe a bit kiddie and repetitive. I get that; it was aimed at a younger sort of generation. But yeah, I mean, if you took Sonic off it and skinned it any other generic character, I don't think there'd have been so many sort of bad things said.
Yeah, I mean, I watched 10 minutes of gameplay, and it was the most repetitive-looking garbage I've seen just watching. Just the 3-4 different attack combo. It's just hoot, and then like a kick or something. I mean, it was very basic, and I get that they were gearing it towards a younger audience, making it more to go with the cartoon. But I mean, what I saw was in line with what most of the complaints were: just boring, repetitive gameplay and just an unpolished game. Whether that deserves a 32 average on Metacritic, I can't say that. But I saw enough in the gameplays that I watched to know I didn't need to buy that game.
I understand that. All I would put to that same thing is that how is that any different than playing like 3D World? Your combat hits are the same. Jump on something, punch something, throw fire.
Yeah.
Like, it's just as simplistic. The difference is that it's a polished Nintendo name rather than a Sega name.
And what is the other gameplay in Sonic? Because the point of Mario isn't just to jump on enemies. I mean, it's exploration. It's getting to the level within time. I don't know what Sonic Boom had to offer other than the battle mechanic or whatever you want to call it.
There's speed runs, there's a bit of platforming, there's the battling, and then there's unlike sort of Mario games, there's the story which if you like it, fine. If you don't, it's not really important. But it's a light-hearted story of like your typical sort of Eggman comes along, causes some sort of thing, you've got to stop him again, kind of thing.
Would it be like you get stuck in an area and you just had to defeat all the enemies and then move on, type of situation?
Yeah, more or less.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if 3D World made me do that, I mean, I wouldn't have enjoyed that game.
But, I mean, I guess Bayonetta does that as well. I mean, it's a mechanic that some people like, some don't.
But that was the other thing that went against Sonic Boom, was it came out right around the time Bayonetta came out, which is a pretty much flawless game design. And there was just so many other good games out on the Wii U. I think it was just a bad combination. But
yeah, I mean, had it come out at like $20 or something, I'm sure they would have sold it.
All right, let's move on from Sonic. He's one of my least favorite video game characters anyway. So I automatically have something against him. But Sonic Lost Worlds, in my mind, was below average. It was a pretty bad game, and from what everyone says, it was way better than Sonic Boom. But anyway, let's move on. We got some questions here, and we're gonna wrap this up.
Go for it.
Who's a bigger Mario Kart player here? Anyone? I might be the biggest. Maybe I'll answer this question.
Yeah, you are, not me.
Because I got 200 hours in. Anybody want to tackle? I'll take it.
Go for it.
This is from Capable Tie 7, aka Grayson Young. Do you think the second Mario Kart 8 DLC pack will be better than the first? I don't know about better. I mean, the first one was pretty fantastic, and I would hope that it's equal to it. But if it is better, that would be quite an accomplishment. I'm going to say it's going to be equal to slightly less, slightly not as good. He's looking to Dry Bowser since he's his favorite character on the Wii. I could really care less about Dry Bowser or any more new characters that are other than like something like Link, like somebody that's like a what's the word I'm looking for? Just something we've never seen in a Mario Kart game before. That was exciting. Getting like Dry Bowser back doesn't excite me. So maybe let's see here. And Gordon, you were talking about this off air, so maybe you can answer this from Tony Coran. Last Saturday, the former Rare developers at Playtonic Games have released 2 preview screenshots of Project Ukulele. Or on Kickstarter, do you guys think we'll ever see this promising title coming to the Wii U?
So across the board,
Yes.
yeah, across the board, it sounds like it will. I mean, to quote their page itself, it says, out of about 500 emails we receive a week, around 499 of them are people shouting Wii U, Wii U, Wii U. So they've obviously got the message. The Nintendo fans want it on their console. It's just a matter of which way their publisher swings, really. My bigger concern is that they're going to Kickstarter so early, and are we going to end up in a similar scenario like Mighty Number 9, where they keep asking for money to keep building this game, and we wait 3 years before we see anything?
Yeah, that game was supposed to be out by now. I thought it was due out early 2015. Does anybody know if that's...
It's supposed to be next month or so, but we haven't had an official date.
Okay. So Jay, do you think we'll get this game? Do you think it'll ever get made, or will it be another like? It's got Project Ukulele. Will it be another Project Cars where they'll get a lot of Nintendo fans money and then they'll just say, well, we're gonna develop it for the PS4 first, and then. All right, what do you see for this game?
Well, I would say that if it wasn't former team members from Rare when they were with Nintendo. Like, that's the only difference. Like, I would say that if it was, like, a completely different team, but since the majority of that team is comprised of former Rareware developers that was at Nintendo during the 90s, I would say I think it will come, and I think that they're not going to screw, at least they're not going to screw Nintendo fans over. I don't think they would.
They'd be smart to make the Wii U like the main platform. If they wanted to make like the most, I think sales would be on the Wii U version. Honestly, I mean.
Yeah. I mean that's where it's gonna be at, because honestly, like the way the game looks to me, it looks like something that'll be up Nintendo's alley, the fan base of Nintendo's alley. That's where most of the fans of that game would mostly reside.
And let me ask everyone this question: being a Kickstarter title, and you know that those aren't have the best success rate. What are the chances that even if they get the money, that this comes out and it's a good game? Honestly.
Oh boy, that's a good question.
I don't put a lot of stock in it at this point. They might have great intentions, but a true like 3D action platformer in that vein would probably take more money they're going to get from a Kickstarter. So where are they going to cut corners? I mean, the concept art looked pretty ambitious.
Mm-hmm.
So if they made it look like an N64 game, I would have higher hopes than they're trying to make it look like a current gen like really, high resolution type of game. I just think that if they put too much effort into that, the gameplay is going to suffer. So I'd actually rather see like a retro style, not N64 blurry textures, but you know what I'm saying. Just put a little less into the game engine and make everything else the focus, like the gameplay, like Nintendo would do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd hope personally that as sort of Jay was saying, because they're ex-Rare sort of employees, that they would use that knowledge and sort of work along with Nintendo to get the best experience, build it from the gameplay up. And what we've seen with some of the better indie games is that the overall sort of polygons and shapes, if you like, of things aren't necessarily that polished, but they can still put a nice texture on it to make it look nice.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as they do it that way round, rather than doing the whole let's make it look pretty and then try and make it work kind of thing, they could make a really good connection with Nintendo fans with that console again, and then potentially have us go, well, when's the next game out for something else that you're doing, and they end up like Platinum and Retro, where we want them. The worst thing they could do is rush this out with some nice graphics, bad gameplay, and then Nintendo fans are like, well, screw you, you might have been Rare, but you're not good anymore.
Yeah. Just like that Wave Race game that's supposed to have been out by now, it keeps getting delayed. Affordable Space Adventures, just kind of an indie title. I don't think that was a Kickstarter. Keeps getting delayed. A big, third person or action platformer. That would just seem like that'd be a lot of work for.
And what's that other one that had the big advert that Dr. Trey put up and stuff to do with, this is the N64 game you never had kind of thing. I forget what it's called. It was this sort of meerkat-y standing boxer type looking guy. I forget what it was called.
Oh, yeah, that was a while ago, and I haven't heard anything.
I've heard nothing since.
Mm-hmm. All right, so this next question is from Player Essence Francis. I'm gonna everybody give their answer. What classic Nintendo franchise will Nintendo bring to E3 2015? Example: Metroid, Golden Sun, F-Zero. I'm gonna let Bear Hugger go first. It may not be. You feel like 100% chance, but what do you think has the best chance of games,
Metroid.
from there? Metroid?
Metroid,
that would be...
That's pretty much basically, that's been the game that's been on a lot of gamers' minds a lot lately, and it will be a lot more in the next month or two leading up to E3.
3DS or Wii U or both?
Both. Because if you it's like what Mr. T said, they're pretty much basically doing one for each handheld and home console. So I'm almost guaranteed that we are going to see Metroid at this year's E3, and I hope to God that they do, because not Rare, sorry, I can't believe I just said that. Sorry, excuse my stupidity.
Apologize.
Retro, they've been hiring a lot ever since after they released Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Because they did take a little bit of a a loss as far as a lot of developers that up and left, but they gained a lot of them back. So I think they are working on something big, and Metroid is definitely what a lot of fans are craving for right now. F-Zero is one game that people want to see, but I think more people want to see Metroid over F-Zero any day of the week, honestly.
All right, Jay, what game do you think has the best chance of making an E3 appearance?
Either Metroid or Kid Icarus.
Okay. And Metroid, do you feel the same? You think it'll be both? Do you think it'll be one or the other?
Yeah, they're not gonna do one and one off. I think it's gonna be both of them, because I don't know if anybody here ever played the one that was on DS, Hunters. That game was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see especially with the new 3DS coming out now, and the faster processor and everything, I don't see them not taking advantage of that. So I think it's gonna be both of them, honestly, and they're probably gonna be companions to each other.
That would be epic. They'd win E3 with Zelda and a Metroid announcement. I'm sorry, that would just be too much. But
and
Gordon, Gordon, do you feel the same or something different?
I'm not sure what's coming. I mean, if we look at Zelda and the sheer scale that they're doing with that right now, and we've got Star Fox that we've not really seen anything of yet, it would be quite good to have a Metroid coming out in the vein of say with a sort of cross sort of collaboration for aiming for maybe sort of next year or sort of further down the line. So we get Zelda, this year, and then we've got something to be aiming for going forward. I don't know if they'd have enough on that. I mean, you're talking about, they've hired a lot of new people in, but have they had enough time between hiring them in to do anything yet? I don't know if they would maybe get something smaller like an F-Zero or something out, and then look at Metroid once they've sort of stabilized out their team. I don't really have a picked thing on top of my head. Metroid would probably be the biggest name to put out though if you want to pull people to the console.
I would think a Metroid trailer for with a 2016 release date,
something like that
would be the most likely, and that would, I mean, for me, that would be awesome. So that's what I hope.
Because that gives us Kart, then Smash, then Zelda, followed by Metroid. Like that's a full sweep.
And they got to have something in 2016. They've already had all their big guns coming out or already out. There's not that much left. They'll have to have something for 2016 unless they're just going to have that a throwaway year until the next system comes out. They have to have something, and I think Metroid would be that game.
We still don't have Star Fox. We don't know what they're doing with it.
Yeah, but they've assured us it'll be out this year. Zelda, they assured us will be out this year. There's not anything that we know of for 2016, whereas at this point last year, I think we already had a few ideas of games coming for 2015, so it'll be interesting to see what they reveal. I think they're going to have quite a bit of announcements for 2016 games.
I mean, there has been a slight rumor of the more sort of Sunshine Galaxy sort of Mario games as well. So there's a possibility of going down that route. But I think we've had enough Mario for just now, personally.
Yeah, I'm ready for another one, but that's just me, because Mario's one of my favorite franchises. But
I mean, I'd love if they would do a sort of direct sequel to Mario 64. But
yeah.
Galaxy, I don't know. I was never a huge fan of Galaxy, personally.
Oh, that's blasphemy, but it's the best. My Galaxy 2 is, in my opinion, the best Mario game, 2D or 3D, but that's just me. Yeah, I honestly think Metroid would be the game to reveal. But as far as you said, like maybe some smaller titles they could reveal, like a new Wave Race or an F-Zero or something. They've had a lot of their franchises out either on the 3DS or the Wii U already. So like I said, there's not a lot left in their bigger franchises. So I think they have to show Metroid, at least a teaser or something. Just say the word Metroid 2016.
Yeah, at the very least, just say we're working on it.
Like Star Fox last year.
Yeah, so show us Star Fox and tell us that you're working on Metroid and who you've got working on it. That would do it. If you want to throw a few sort of smaller things in that haven't been out in a while, like maybe 1080 snowboarding sequel or something, go for a Wave Race. I'd be all for that. Gives us something different in the racing area, but.
And don't forget Diddy Kong Racing potentially revealed too. There was a rumor a while back about that being in development. So I personally would rather, because that rumor also had Retro working on it, and I would rather have them working on Metroid personally.
Yeah, I mean, and I'd rather something that wasn't another car racer. I'd rather it be snowboarding or skating or F-Zero or something that's not another car.
All right, so we're going to do a couple more questions. Jay, I'm going to ask this to you. This is from Tony Coran. What are the odds of Itagaki making another surprise appearance at E3 and showing a near-complete version of Devil's Third?
Highly, highly likely. They've been talking, like, they haven't been showing anything, but they've been talking good about it. Like, I think the last thing I heard on it was, like, I think it was a couple months ago, there was I want to say it was an article on either Wii U Daily or Nintendo Life where they were talking about it looks better, like people that have actually seen it saying it looks better than what was shown at the Treehouse event at E3 last year. So I'm pretty sure he's gonna come back, and hopefully this time we get an actual date because I kind of want to play that game.
I'd be.
I like Itagaki games, so I mean, I like his action. I take it back. I like his action adventure games.
You don't like his beach volleyball games?
No, nah, hell no.
I would like to think that's coming out in 2015, but the other thing they said is the biggest, most ambitious thing they've ever worked on. So I would also not be surprised if it was pushed to 2016. But I mean, there's a lot hitting at the end of this year, and some big titles with Xenoblade and Zelda and Star Fox. So I don't know where they would try to squeeze in Devil's Third, but.
And I wouldn't want that game to do bad because it had to go up against Zelda. You know, I mean, if push comes to shove, it's not gonna make me mad if they have to push it back to the 1st of 2016. That's not gonna make me mad.
No. All right. So Big Dan, he's got 2 questions that are kind of related about Nintendo's next console. The first one, Bear, I'll ask you: do you guys think that Nintendo will fall into the third-party trap again? I.e., thinking that they will be getting support from them with their new console? Or do you think they learned their lesson?
No, third parties will still tell them to go F themselves. Look, here's the way I look at it. If Nintendo came out next gen with their console, right, and they made everybody with all these naysayers who were refusing to buy the Wii U, it was on par power-wise, you know what I mean? It had a traditional controller, and Nintendo went back to, like the old school-wise kind of stuff, right? Would third party be on board? There would definitely be a little bit of third party support, but not everything. Most developers would still sit there and say, nope, we can't compete with Nintendo's IPs. Screw them. You know what I mean? But yet, that's not even the case in point. Most gamers would still go and just completely ignore Nintendo like they have been doing now for years. And I hate saying that, but that's just
but you gotta say something to consider, though. Every console generation, it seems like a different story is told. Like, I had my podcast, The State of Gaming, and we talked about how, like, the PS2 just frickin' dominated and just had the industry, the market by a stranglehold, and then the next generation, the 360, comes out and like gets all the multiplats and gets just this huge lead, and it was just like completely different situation because the Xbox Uno didn't really do that well. They made a lot of mistakes, and then they rushed out the 360, had even more problems, but still did well. And then the Wii did amazing. So you don't know, just because the Wii U and the third parties didn't work out this time, we don't know what their next system's going to be. I think the launch titles, it's going to be just like with this generation. It's going to be 80% third-party games with a couple Nintendo first-party games. I mean, there's no way Nintendo can pull an N64 and have 2 first-party games at the launch of their next system. Like, they're going to try again, whether they put as much faith in that first year into third parties. I don't think they'll make that mistake again.
I think they need to launch with one of their big hitters.
Yeah, they already said that 3D World they're debating on making the next 3D Mario game the launch title.
Yeah, so if a new 3D Mario game was their launch title, whichever peripheral they decide to go with, if it's a gamepad version 2 or whatever they decide to go with, 100% fully utilize that thing day one. And yeah, run with it. I mean, if they need to take their time and do things slowly, if they need to bring out one game every sort of couple of months, I know people complain about droughts and things, but I would much rather, unlike this generation where we had the first 6 months, pretty much all the third parties had a go at the gamepad and the controls and things, and Nintendo filled in the gaps with their games, but their games didn't really seem to use their hardware as far as controls and things were concerned until about 6 months in. I would like Nintendo to lead by example. If they go out there and go, look, we're going to release this, Mario 3D World 2 at launch with some third-party games, and in like maybe a month to 2 months, we're going to have I don't know, a Zelda or some sort of big world game, Zelda, Metroid, whichever one they decide to go with, an open world Star Fox or something. Utilize the controls with it. So within that first 6 months, we've got 2 reasonable Nintendo big franchises that are using that hardware. That would be the smart move. I don't know if they would do it, But for me, that's what I would do. I'd wait an extra 6 months to release the console if I had to have those games ready.
Yeah, because the initial sales don't mean everything, but it would be nice to get out of the gates better. But you also got to think they put out a AAA Nintendo franchise that's only going to hurt the third parties even worse to compete with that to begin with, So
I
there's
guess,
a lot to consider.
but the thing that sold the Wii was the fact that to third parties was that the boxes were in houses, and how do you get a Nintendo box in houses? You have to sell the experience. If we don't see the experience in a store, if we can't get hands on with it until a year in, then that's what's happened to the Wii U. If day one Nintendo paid to have these things in stores with the Nintendo experience complete with whatever controller's going, and people picked it up, third parties should have no choice but to be on that box because it's in everyone's house.
Mm-hmm. I don't want to make this much longer, but his second part of that similar question is: do you think Nintendo will be ready as in have their online structure ready, the eShop ready, first party games ready? I think they already have a plan in place. The eShop and everything was there, but the Wii U OS was not anywhere near optimized till about a year and a half in. I don't think they'll make that mistake twice. I think we'll have a fully polished, fully ready OS and everything for the launch of their next system. I personally don't think they'll make that mistake again. That was, just how long it took to boot up games and stuff, and the developers didn't even have the final OS till the last second. That just didn't help the situation. I honestly think that they'll not make that mistake again. Anybody disagree with that?
Nope.
No, I think they learned their lesson.
I think they need to do with whatever succeeds the Wii U, what Xbox had to do with the 360. They need to look at all the mistakes they've made, polish them, and almost bring out a Mark II version of the Wii U with boosted graphics, boosted controls, boosted OS, and hit the ground running.
Yeah, I think they need to get away from. Even though I do like the simplicity of just having all your games laid out easily and your apps, I just like an iPod or a cell phone. I do like that, but they need to make it more of a streamlined. Things can run at the same time and just easily go back and forth. They need to get that addressed because that is in my opinion, the only real weakness of the Wii U operating system is just going from the Miiverse to a game to the browser. It's just stuff has to load up every time. Your friends list, even though it takes 6 seconds or whatever, it should just be an instant pop up on your gamepad or your screen like 360 and PS3 did. So I think they got to focus on streamlining their OS but I do like the layout compared to the other systems. And if they have a touchscreen, it would make sense to have the icons again, like the apps, and have folders there at the beginning, have customization there at the beginning. And I think I don't like to think that far ahead, but I'm really excited about what Nintendo's working on with this new system. Even though I really love the Wii U, I am pretty excited to see in a couple years them unveil what they've got working on, and I think I don't expect them to fail again. I think the next one's going to be something special. So we'll have to wait and see though. And we in 360 with me said he thought Sonic Lost Worlds was a great game. That's the first person I've ever heard say great and Sonic Lost Worlds in the same sentence. But he says it's a very unpopular opinion. He knows. That's it couldn't be any further from a great game in my personal opinion. That was a pretty terrible game with some decent moments. I only bought it because it had some levels that remind me of Super Mario Galaxy. That's the only reason I bought that game. And I just didn't live up to that. So anyway, we hit our time limit. There's a few questions left, but they're gonna be too long to answer. So we're gonna wrap this up. And as always on the Juice is Loose, I give everybody a chance. Any final thoughts? Anything they want to say before we go? We'll start with Jay. You can do your sign off too, if you don't have anything to say.
No, I don't have anything. It's been fun being a part of the cast. I had a lot of fun. don't really have anything upcoming this week. I do have a gameplay vid I'm working on. Well, a couple of them that I'm working on that I'll probably put out this week, but no discussions or anything like that. So I guess I'll catch you guys later.
All right, and thanks for being back on The Juice is Loose. And we'll go Bear Hugger. Any final thoughts? Anything you forgot to say you want to wrap it up or say real quick and then do your sign off?
Nothing for final thoughts, but I finally reached my goal, my milestone, so I'm happy about that. But yeah, thanks for having me on here, dude. I really appreciate it, man. You know, I'm always glad to be part of your podcast there, Terminator, man. So thank you.
And your milestone, what, you hit 1,000 subscribers, did I see?
Correct. Yep.
Congratulations, that's nice.
Thank you.
You know, you earned it. I think you do good videos, and I think that's just, you know, it seems like when people hit 1,000, the next, you know, it takes them a lot less time to get to 2,000 and stuff. It's almost like the more subscribers you get, the quicker you get new ones. So
yeah,
I think you keep doing what you're doing, and you'll hit 2,000 before a year from now. My prediction. So, but congratulations on that, and that's cool. So. You doing anything special for that, or?
Well, actually, the only thing I'm doing for my the actual occasion, I guess, is I promised everybody that I was going to shave off my beard.
Oh.
But right now, I'm just in the midst of trying to get some money so I can actually go ahead and actually get my hands on a proper razor blade, because I only have like those two-bladed ones, and that tears the shit out of my face. So
yeah, you need to trim that down first before shave. You need to get
I plan on to. But given the fact, like, the way it grows out, like, even if I use, like, when I shorten it, it's still I hate it.
Yeah, I can't stand beards. So, Gordon, any final thoughts? Anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
I mean, final thoughts as far as things, just to round things, would probably just be that, you know, not to take things literally on someone else's opinion as far as games are concerned. You know, if you want to try something, go for it. Even anything that any of us have said, if we all love or hate one game, you know, as we've just had there, someone who loves, you know, Lost World, if you love a game, play it, you know, and have fun with that. You know, don't sort of be pushed around by someone else's opinion. Other than that, as far as sort of my channel and things concerned, I haven't had a lot lately. I've been moving into doing sort of review things. So, you know, typically I've had sort of tips videos as my sort of what I call achievement unlock videos. But I'm moving towards reviews. I don't know if you guys have seen the format with that, where I've kind of got the gamepad and TV screen. I'm kind of playing about with it. So I'm looking to do more of that. But I need to complete some of my games, and then I could review them.
Well, no, you don't have to finish games. What are you talking about? You just review them after halfway through. I did my Kirby review. I was at 99% with one challenge room left out of 48. I felt like I was close enough.
Man, I draw the line. Typically speaking, with if a game's like a campaign or something, that you've got to the credit scene. If you got to the credit scene, you can review it. If you haven't hit the credit scene, no go.
Mhm. That's a good point. Unless it's mostly online multiplayer, I guess, then you could probably get away without.
Yeah, I guess, but well, then you got to.
I could review Call of Duty Ghosts, and I've never finished the game. I just know the multiplayer's not very smooth, and the maps are way too big.
If you're reviewing it as multiplayer, I mean, let's say that's fair
yeah,
enough. That's you know, something like Mario Kart, you could probably put 10, 20 hours into between online and offline and review perfectly fine. But if you're talking Bayonetta, I think you need to finish it.
Yeah, and Bayonetta, even finishing your first time on like normal difficulty, you don't really get to know the mechanics of the combat until you finish your second playthrough, maybe even on third climax. That's when you really start to learn the mechanics and find all the depth. It takes a lot. You have to learn a lot from starting third climax to finishing it with all platinums. I had to learn so much more than just my initial playthrough of that game.
Yeah, I mean, my first run through was pretty much bronze.
Yeah. But I was getting stones on the first Bayonetta. That game's tough. But
yeah, well, that's what I mean. That's the first one that came out like that. I mean, right now, as I say, that my current work on, I guess, as far as going forward, is a review for Hyrule Warriors. I've done the campaign. I'm working through the first sort of adventure map. If I get the first adventure map finished, and the next maybe couple of weeks, I'll do a review on that.
All right. So we're still live here, so we're gonna end this, and I definitely want to talk a little bit more about some stuff off air with you guys. But thanks to everybody who watched and asked questions. Sorry I didn't get to them all, but appreciate that. So stay tuned. Next Juice is Loose will probably be my next video next Monday. 7, 8 o'clock. So appreciate everybody for watching again, and we'll see you on the next video.